So I used to be I was over 350 pounds. I was a very unhealthy big boy. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're keto, my name is John, and I'm going to kick this video off in just a minute. I actually am doing a collaboration with a really cool person. I was on her podcast. It was actually the first podcast I've ever been on, so that was a really cool thing. I really did enjoy getting to know her and just talking a little bit about my story and stuff, so definitely go ahead and check that podcast out. I'm gonna have her video that she put on here, or that she put on. I'm going to put it on as well, so you guys can check that out and watch. But you can go ahead and follow her on social media. She's on Instagram at Savannah Sharp Fitness, and the name of her podcast is Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. It's a pretty cool show, and then she's not keto, but you know, she wanted to have people on who have stories, and I was just in the right time, in the right place. We actually live in the same town, and we actually go to the same gym, so it just kind of worked out. But definitely a really cool chick. Check her out. Definitely go over to her YouTube channel, because she's just getting started. This girl is kind of like on the same path as me. We're all kind of on this working full time, but still trying to be on entrepreneurship, and then hopefully build our businesses with our fitness coaching to be our business one day. So it will definitely help her out if you go over there and subscribe to her channel. And it is a pretty cool channel. She does a pretty good job of editing videos and all that kind of stuff. So check her out. Let me know what you guys think. Let her know that I sent you, though, so she knows that she's getting some support, because she's a good person. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into this podcast.
Okay, we are recording, so I am going to get started. So welcome to today's podcast. I am your host, Savannah Sharp, and this is Cupcakes and Protein Shakes, your weekly mindset, motivation, and more. Today I have a very special guest. He's here to share his own personal transformation journey with you all, the ups, downs, the highs, lows, and everything in between. I'd like you to introduce yourself. This is John Serrano. Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. Great opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah. So first, just let's get those social media plugs in there. So where can they find you on social media, websites, or anything like that?
Yeah, so I have YouTube. It's all the same. It's i.f.yourketo, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Okay, perfect.
I need to build Instagram up a little better, but
yeah. Well, I think we're kind of opposite. I'm trying to build YouTube. My Instagram is doing all right.
Yes.
You're trying to build Instagram. Your YouTube's doing all right. So maybe we can cross share some followers and some subscribers. That's what I like on the channel. So first, I know that you went on a personal transformation journey, and that's what we're here to talk about. But what's your job? What do you do is like your job?
Yeah, so like I try to do coaching on the side. It's my side gig, and hopefully get to a point where that'll be my full-time gig. But I'm an outside sales rep for a metal fabrication company. So it's funny because they kind of intertwine together, because I've been learning a lot about sales for my business, and then my business has been teaching me a lot about my sales job. So they kind of work together, and hopefully I can take what I can from that job and implement it into my business, and hopefully go full-time coaching.
I'm literally, we're in the same spot. So, like I'm human resources for Amazon, but kind of coaching a little bit on the side. I have 2 clients, when I can.
Nice.
So we're just trying to slowly build that, following and coaching, which is extremely fun. And are you based in Lawrence?
Yeah, I live in Lawrence.
Okay.
Kansas. Love it.
Is that where you're from?
Yeah, I pretty much grew up here my whole life. I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and moved to Topeka briefly. But I've been in Lawrence since I was about 8 years old, off and on. I lived in Lenexa for a couple of years, but outside of that, Lawrence is home.
Okay, me too.
I got a tattoo right here. It says 785 Lawrence,
Oh,
Kansas.
wow. Yes, you're a true townie, just like me. So I've been in Lawrence too, last like 24 or 5 years. Yeah, so Lawrence is hometown for me as well.
Yeah, so it's just such a different dynamic of a town, It's just so welcoming, and it's just different than other towns around in Kansas.
Yeah. Do you feel like what about like the fitness community? Do you feel like we have a good like fitness community?
Yeah, I do. I've never had a negative experience inside of doing fitness or working with people. I think everybody's pretty chill here. So the dynamic is just different than most places.
Good. So I do want to, what we're here for is the transformation journey. So you have a very special
Yeah.
transformation journey, and I want you to share what, the highs and the lows of it. So kind of tell the listeners about just like a quick summary, and then we'll kind of get into the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah, sure. So I used to be I was over 350 pounds. I was a very unhealthy big boy. And it was just like an aha moment in my life one day where actually it come briefly after my uncle had harshly told me, "You're fat." And he's like, "What are you going to do when you die? What's your mom going to do?" And it hit me pretty hard, like I was like, wow, I had to really take a step back and look at it and realize that even though he was being a jerk, he was right. And I was like, wow, okay. I was in denial for a long time. I remember going to stores and buying clothes, and I would convince myself that I was the same size, but that they were making these clothes smaller, so we'd have to pay more money to buy them. Like I just was so in denial. And it hit me in the face one day where I went to go put this button-up shirt on that I had fit probably 6 months prior or less, and it wouldn't button. It like wouldn't button up, and I was just like, "Oh crap!" Like, I'm not the same size as I was in high school. And I was always a heavy kid, from the beginning of my childhood. My mom's Mexican family, just like that's how they show love. Like, here, food,
Oh,
30 seconds.
my mom's on that food. I know. They just shove it down your
like
throat.
11 p.m. at night.
Like, do you not love me? You eat my food.
Yeah. So that was just like a very unhealthy relationship that I built with food. And then my parents, they got divorced, and that kind of, spiraled. And so food just became that comfort thing. You hear it a lot, and it's really true. It's just that unhealthy relationship you develop over time. It kind of slips away from you. You don't really realize it's happening. It's just like over the years, you just keep getting heavier and heavier. And that time I put that shirt on, like I just had to look it in the face at that point. I couldn't lie to myself anymore, because I think I lied so much to myself that I was beginning to believe like I wasn't getting bigger, but I was. And so like I literally just that next day, because I had like a large pizza from Pizza Hut, so I had to finish that. But the next day, I went ahead and started to diet. And at that point, I didn't really know much about it. It was just like kind of, okay, I need to eat less, because I was literally eating buffets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks in between, and gallons of ice cream, and like, just didn't even pay attention to it. You can smash a whole box of Little Debbie's and it's, no problem. It's like 3,000 calories. But I just started to like do things like Subway, like let me just start eating less, eating better, making better choices. And so it's kind of like if it fits your macros kind of thing. I wasn't tracking at the time. I didn't really do weigh-ins at all. I just started eating less. But it was about a year and a half that went by in that time where like I lost about 80 pounds just by dieting. And it kind of tapered off, it hit a plateau, and I wasn't able to lose anymore. And so I was like, well, what's going on? Let me figure out what I can do. And that's when I started looking into fitness and working out and stuff. And I had never worked out. Like I didn't play sports.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Like, what in like your younger years, did you do any activities?
No, not at all. Like I was running around with my friends, being a little bad kid,
So like in high school, like what would you do for fun?
We'd like go to the pool, like that was like a big thing, or just like having get-togethers in Walmart parking lots. I remember hanging out in the Walmart parking lots. I just never really got into sports. Like I was always a huge boxing fan, and I get the fights at our house. My father was always getting the fights, and so I was into like sports, but I never actually played them myself. And my high school coaches always tried to get me to play football. I just never got into it. I was too busy being. I was in mischief, I guess. I don't know.
That's okay. Well, it's kind of interesting too. Like if, like I think like growing up, did you? It sounds like you didn't. There was no emphasis on like what it meant to be healthy. Did you ever learn like what it meant? You had to kind of like learn to be healthy on your own as you guys got older. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I think that was just a part of my weight loss journey, was just researching. Like I always tell people, to do the research, because it's so important to know what you're doing. You don't want to just go and jump on some crazy bandwagon or diet or something and not know or explain to yourself what it's going to be, And so for me, it was just like a journey of learning, and that came along with my weight loss, my fitness. You know, you watch videos. I was huge into YouTube, and I just did all the research I could to, you know, have all the equipment I needed to succeed. And I think that's really what helped me. And then I basically got to the point where, you know, you learn form, you know, because I remember the first time I worked out, I mean, I looked crappy. You've seen people at the gym where like, they're like thinking they're doing curls, but they're like, you know, they're like, I don't know what they're doing. But,
yeah, I mean, we all been there. If I look back at my first workout videos, I'm like, oh, someone please help this woman, please. Oh my gosh. And it's scary going to the gym for the first time. I seriously do remember, like, when I signed my membership for to go to the gym, I thought the entire time everyone was staring at me. No one was. Right. But like, didn't you feel like everyone was looking at you?
Absolutely. Especially when I was heavier, you know, it was like, cause I always felt like that. I always felt like, cause I was so large and I got made fun of, you know, and it sucked. And I remember being in the gym and working out and looking around like, these people are going to be talking about me like this fat, whatever. But, you know, I mean, you kind of get over that. And then you also realize it's like, man, I'm in here doing this, you know, so I'm proud of that. And like, maybe these people are proud of that, you know, like, cause I look at guys at the gym sometimes and they're heavy and I'm like, man, I'm so proud of this dude for getting in here. And I want to go talk to him, you know, like I'm not very good at doing that yet. And probably should be with, you know, what we want to do is coaching. So, you know, approaching people is probably going into that, but it's just hard for me to do that kind of stuff. But I see guys and I'm just like, man, this guy's got consistency. And that's really what it takes. Like, you have to be consistent day in, day out, put the work in. You're not always going to go in there and feel like working out, but you go through it anyway. And then, you know, by the end of it, you know how it is. You feel great. You know, you're like, I'm glad I did that. And it's the same thing with diet and nutrition. It's like, okay, maybe I slip up and eat some pizza or whatever, but that doesn't mean that I have to derail my entire program or my lifestyle, because that's what it is. It's a lifestyle. I know that's kind of cliche now to say, but it's true. If you don't make it sustainable, you're not going to succeed long term. That's why only 5% of people who have significant weight loss succeed, because most people try to cut calories super dramatic and go to the gym overtrained 7 days a week, and then by the time that week's up, they're like, screw this, man. That's too hard.
Yeah, that's why Monday, parking lot gyms, always popping, always full. Friday, no one's there because everyone quit. You know, everyone starts diet on Monday. They try it one day, and then once it gets hard, they're like, nah, I'm done. It's funny.
When February rolls around, January rolls around.
It's so packed.
Get out of my way, man.
I get so bittersweet about it because I'm like, oh yeah, there's some more people here. Like, everyone's hitting their goals, and then it's like, oh, we weeded them out. A few of you stayed.
Right.
Everyone else did not. So, you know, you see it every single year. As far as like keto,
it's like half the amount of people.
Oh yeah. But as far as keto, I don't know a lot about keto. I've heard of it. I've heard of this fad diets. I want you to like tell me and like educate our listeners, like, what is keto? How do you keto? What is it?
Sure. So it's definitely not a fad diet. And I'm sorry, but I just get like so offended when people call it that, because I realize there's been so many fad diets over the years. But this is a way of eating that can actually repair disease and help with so many different diseases that you have. And so like, that's not a fad diet to me. And we've had this for like over 100 years. You know, people have been using it on epileptic kids who are having seizures. And so it's basically where you convert over from using sugar or carbs, AKA sugar, for fuel, and then you start using fat for fuel. And so you basically deprive your body of so much glucose, sugar, and it has to find a different way to operate. And so it's like, okay, we need a different source of fuel. I feel like crap, you know? So it converts over to burning fat for fuel. And that's called being in a ketogenic state or being in ketosis. And so everybody's different, you know, like if you eat 100 carbs, you know, you might get kicked out of ketosis. I could maybe eat 50 carbs and get kicked out. So you have to really play with it and kind of figure out your sweet spot. And you can do that with blood testing. I don't recommend the pee strips because it only really works in the beginning because your body actually gets smart. And your body's amazing. It does some amazing things. And it starts to figure out that you're using ketones, and so the P strips no longer become effective. So I usually use a blood testing, but once you get so far in, it's like you don't have to test. You just know, okay, I'm eating this way, I feel this way, because you're going to have a period, maybe it's called the keto flu, where when you first deprive yourself of all those carbs, because we're so carb addicted in this today's day and age, you start to feel pretty crappy, because you're removing it.
So the funny thing of it is, this is my week 4 of low carb. We took all my carbs out and I feel like death. And I don't know if it is the ketosis, it could be, but I literally feel keto flu. And I'm about to die. Is it so? Are you still getting carbs from vegetables, or is like it?
So
zero?
Those are like lower. Those are lower glycemic index, and so I don't want to get too sciencey on the show yet, but basically there's different carbs that affect you differently, and they affect your blood differently. And so like potatoes are very high glycemic, and that's going to spike your insulin, kick you out of ketosis. And then there's things like spinach or squash. Those are very low glycemic carbs. They're still carbs, but they're very low glycemic. Now, if you eat 200 grams of those kind of carbs, they could still kick you out. So you do have to keep them lower, but they're much lower in carbs than like a potato would be. And so like what you're feeling, like the crappiness, it's usually an electrolyte imbalance. And so when you switch over to ketosis, so when you're eating carbs, your body retains like 3.5 grams of water per gram of carbs. And so when you take those away, you're excreting a lot of water. And so you have to replace those electrolytes. And that's what most people make a mistake, is they're peeing a lot more, and they're, getting rid of a lot of liquids or whatever, but they're not replacing their electrolytes. And so I would say to you, get an electrolyte supplement, or maybe some pickle juice, things like that would definitely help, because it's usually the sodium that you're low on that makes you feel so crappy.
That's good to know.
My pre-workout actually used to be like a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt. And I'm telling you what,
I've heard of that. I have heard of that. So I do like creatine, and I don't cut sodium ever. I always heavily salt all of my food because I drink so much water. So I know it's important, but that could help me lately, because that's for bodybuilding, it's carbs are a huge thing. We like pump up our muscles and we want them full of water. It's like going into a show and like peak weeks. So right now like I'm kind of keto, where we're low carb and we're trying to kind of jumpstart it, and then you take the carbs away, then once you bring them back, your muscles get really full.
You just get super veiny, like it's ridiculous, man.
I will hope
I wanted this so bad.
I'm very vascular, and then when you don't have carbs, it's like I don't have a pump really. You're so
flat.
Yeah.
So, pro tip: the salt will help you get that pump.
Yeah.
You take, and it has to be a good quality salt, like pink Himalayan salt, just a good quality sea salt.
Yeah.
But it will definitely give you that pump back. Because I remember being flat too when I converted over, and I lost a little bit of strength in the beginning, for real. My bench went down pretty bad, and I was like, oh no, But like I said, your body adapts. It's so smart, And I'm hitting PRs now that I never did before. So
how long did it take you before you beat the keto flu?
What's that?
How long does it take you to get out of like the keto flu before you actually start to feel good on low carbs?
Well, so everybody's different, everybody's body is completely different. I mean, some people might not even experience it at all. And it's going to depend on your level of fitness. Like if you're somebody who's worked out pretty regularly and you switch over to keto, you're probably not going to have that difficult of a time with the adaptation. Mm-hmm. But if you're somebody who's like never stepped in the gym before, and you try to jump all the way into keto and then all the way into fitness, you're going to have a pretty crappy time. I always tell people to just, don't try to bite off too much at one time. You have to tackle this thing for a marathon, not a race. You can't go all in, kill yourself, and then, it's not sustainable. So you have to make it sustainable for yourself. And I think that's like the biggest thing I've learned along this whole journey is just like, I had like a 2-year period of being super strict keto, wouldn't ever cheat, and it's just like, man, I got to live my life too. You have to find a balance. And so like, this is a lifestyle for me, and I use it to sustain my weight loss, because it's the only thing I've ever found that I was able to do that with. When I was doing If It Fits Your Macros, it was a yo-yo diet. You know, I would go through periods of time because it's just carb addiction, man. It's like we get
It
these
is. I am addicted to carbs. I
Absolutely.
feel the energy spikes. I'm like, I need the bread and I need the carbs and the pasta, and it's like your body just is craved. And it's not even the carbs; it's like the sugars too. It like fuels.
Absolutely,
And
that's what it is. I mean,
and
sugar is carb, and
when it's like the cravings too. Like the cravings are
absolutely.
insane. But I feel like
So
once
it's like a drug, man.
it is like a drug. And then when you cut it out, because I've done the low carb, like a few months back, we did low carb for like 8 weeks. And the first 4 weeks are always the worst. But when I hit like week 5, I started to feel good. And I was like, my cravings went away. I was feeling like lean. I was feeling shredded.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, oh, like my body feels good. And it, you
So
know,
I'll tell you what that is. And that's actually your body becoming fat adapted. And so once you get to that point, you don't no longer need sugar or carbs for fuel. And so your body will go directly to your fat stores.
Yep.
And it's literally using your fat to
Yep.
fuel you. And that's why you feel so good. And that's why, like, when you get, I don't know if you've ever done fasting. So that's kind of that's what your keto is. You know, it's like intermittent fast with your keto, because I love to fast and I love keto, and they work so well together. It's like a superpower.
Talk about that, because I've never done fasting. I don't.
Okay.
How?
Sorry, you froze up on me there.
Okay. Yeah. So I've never done fasting. The most that I've ever done is I've tried to work out for a couple hours without anything, and like just like doing a delayed breakfast is what I think fasting.
Right. And that's pretty much what it means. You know, like breakfast literally means break fast. It's like, you know, so you start fasting from the moment you stop ingesting calories. And I mean, we're all so built to, because we've been told for so long, like you have to eat so many meals a day, like it's healthy, it's blah, 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 blah. And it's just not true. Like when you dive into the research, it's like, you know, I've fasted for, I think the longest fast I ever did was like 65 hours. And I was hitting PRs in the gym on a 48-hour fast.
Really?
And I felt great. I mean, your body becomes fat adapted, and I had fat stores, you know? So if you're somebody who's super lean, doesn't have a whole lot of weight to lose, you don't have to probably fast long. But fasting is not just for weight loss. It's for longevity and rejuvenation. So your body actually recycles, gets rid of the old bad cells, and, you know, builds new ones. And the fasting process helps that tremendously. And, you know, you do generate more human growth hormone when you're fasting and all these things. And so it's just the furthest thing from the truth when people say, like, if you don't eat, you're going to lose all your muscle, like blah, blah, blah. Like I've been fasting and doing keto for so long, and I'm still getting stronger, still feeling good, you know, and I'm not as strict as I used to be. You know, I'm a little more lenient now. And I'll all right, my friends are going out for pizza. Okay, I'll grab a slice, whatever, you know. I don't have health issues.
What does that look like for you, for your balance on your diet, like on a weekly basis? Like how many times are you maybe like eating off keto, or is it just like every once in a while, or what percentage are you like at 80%, 20%? What do you think?
I think it just depends on my goals. And so like if I'm trying to cut, you know, I'm going to be super dialed in. I'm going to be keto all the way, fasting, you know, not worrying about it. But if I'm just maintaining, which right now I kind of am, I think I'm going to start cutting next month. I'm just trying to live my life, you know? And so like if I'm somewhere and I feel like having something to eat that's not keto, I'm going to eat it. Like I don't have health issues. Like I 100% believe in keto because it does help so many people who are ill feel better and get better, and they actually can reverse type 2 diabetes. I mean, the amazing science behind it is just insane. And so like if you have those kind of problems, you need to stay keto all the time. But for me, you know, I'm young, well, maybe not so young anymore, but I feel good. You know, I'm healthy, I'm lifting, so I don't have any real goals right now. So I'll just probably, you know, eat on the weekends, eat some carbs and not worry about it, and then get back on Monday so that I don't let it get out of control.
And then does your family also do keto as well?
You know what? There was a time where I literally had my closest family, my sister and my mother, on keto. And we were like this keto family. And they had such great results. And my mom, oh my God, she did amazing. She was strength training. We would work out together. Like my sister and I would work out together. And I never thought in a million years I would ever experience something like that, you know. My sister, she's gone through a weight loss journey herself. You know, she's lost probably about 70 pounds. And she looks great now. But she's gotten to a point where she, you know, she doesn't need keto anymore. I mean, she can use it from time to time, but she kind of uses it like a tool, you know, like she doesn't have any health issues. So she eats the things that she wants to eat. And we all know when we eat crappy, we feel crappy. And so like we kind of punish ourselves.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I've never felt better than when I'm dialed in keto fasting. Like I feel amazing. And you can tell like I have back problems, lower back problems. And carbs literally cause inflammation, you know, and it's sugar. It's just terrible. So when I'm doing keto, I just feel so much better. And I'll wake up in the morning and I'm like, my back doesn't hurt as much. I'm like, no crap, because you're not inflamed. There's all these preservatives and crap we're eating, you know, it's like it's inflaming us.
What's typically like a staples in your diets, like for go-to meals or stuff like that?
I'm real simple. You know, I'll just find a protein, whether it be chicken, pork, steak, and then I'll just pair it with some pretty easy stuff like green beans, Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts.
I love Brussels sprouts too.
Yeah, but it's real easy and simple, you know, like I don't overcomplicate things, but you can. I mean, there's like so many recipe places out there, or Pinterest is great for keto recipes. YouTube, obviously. There's a channel called Keto Connect, and they like make these amazing keto desserts. And I used to follow them like so hard because we're all addicts. Like I said, I was addicted to carbs. So I was like, well, okay, I can try to find a way to get my carbs and it still be keto, which you can. And so it's pretty cool. It's like just a different way of living, really. It's just, like I said, it's a lifestyle. Nice. I'm sorry, did I answer the question?
Yeah, so we can go wherever we want, really. It's fine. I want to...
If I didn't answer the question or not.
No, that was right. Let's see. What is like the hardest part, do you think, for someone about maybe getting that fitness journey started, or like throughout your journey, what is continuously like the hardest part on a day-to-day, weekly basis for you?
Yeah, so I think the hardest part is being consistent and just putting the work in. Like, it's just so hard once you fall off your routine. Like if you've let up off your routine, it's so easy to just like, I'll skip it tomorrow too. Oh, tomorrow I'll skip that one too. Next thing you know, it's been 4 weeks you haven't been in the gym, or you've been eating like crap for a month straight. You know, like we've all been there. And so it really just takes consistency. You have to make it sustainable. It has to be a lifelong thing for you, or it's just not going to work. I've seen so many people, man, come to the gym, you know, heading towards the end of the year looking good, and then all of a sudden they come back and they put on 20 pounds. And it's like we all get it. I mean, it's the holidays, you know, after one after another, you're eating like crap, you're eating pumpkin pie, like it's going out of style. And I think you just have to, and that's what's really great about fasting is, for me, is like, you know, I can still eat a large amount of food, maybe if I just do one meal that day, you know. So if Thanksgiving I know is coming up, I'm like, all right, well, I'm just not going to eat. I'm gonna do a fast. And you know, that might not be the healthiest way to approach it, but for me it works, you know. So I'm like, I'm still getting the nutrients I need, I'm still getting the food I want, but I'm not eating too much, you know.
What is your macro breakdown? Do you follow like macros, or are you just like eating keto?
Yeah, so I think that's going to differ depending on the person again, because you're just going to have different levels of fat adaptation. So like for me, I'm pretty fat adapted. And so now I don't need as high of a fat macro as I might have once needed. So my body's very well at using fat for fuel. So I kind of try to go a little higher on protein, because obviously I'm trying to build strength and muscle, and a little bit lower on fat. But when I first started, I was just following the usual protocol, is like 75% fat, 20% protein, 5% carbs, keeping the carbs as low as possible and not eating any high glycemic carbs. But now it's like, you know, I'm between 60 and 70% fat, just depending on the day, how much protein I'm having. You know?
Do you know
I used to just
like what your average calorie per day would be? Like just like an average, what you try to hit?
I think that I don't track right now because I'm just maintaining. But every now and then I'll plug it in just to, you know, kind of dial things in. And I think I'm eating about 2,700 to 3,000 a day.
Okay. And then what's height and body weight, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I'm 5'10", and I think as of this morning, I was like 209.
Okay. It's interesting. Yeah. Because on my off season, the highest we go is 2,500 ever. So
Yeah,
yeah, everyone's body is so different on how much food they can handle.
absolutely.
How often do you
Yeah,
train?
it depends. So I try to train 5 days a week.
Okay. And then
I used to train like 6, 7 days a week, but I was just overtraining.
do you do like rest days back to back, or do you like break it up?
I kind of listen to my body. This is something I've learned too along the way. It's like I used to have like this super bro mentality of just like, oh, I gotta train back and buys or whatever, today's chest day. And it's like now I've like discovered a different way of working out. I really love to do full body routines, and then I'll like isolate one muscle group for that day. And so what that looks like for me is I'll let's say I want to isolate back. So I'll start with heavy deadlifts, and then I'll move to a full body workout routine, because I really love circuits where I'm getting that hypertrophy. I'm just going through, and I like to sweat. I like to feel like I'm working out. So I kind of do a mix of doing the strength training first, so I have the energy, and then kind of doing my hypertrophy after that.
And then do you have any type of like cardio into your routine?
Oh yeah, I love boxing. I'm sure you've seen me in there ripping the bag a couple of times. I love to box. It's just it's so much good cardio, but like you don't think about it. Like in your head, you're like hitting the bag, and I really love that. So I like to play basketball. I'm no good at it, but I like to play basketball. I actually got kind of beat up from playing basketball the other day. Got caught an elbow, but and then I do like circuits. So I'll do like box jumps, jump ropes, jumping jacks, mountain climbers, pull-ups. Like I'll pick like 5 or 6 exercises, and then I'll cycle through that 5 to 8 times, depending on how I feel.
And then what's your favorite part about being keto?
I think for me, it's just the way I feel. It just really makes me feel the best I've ever felt, like health-wise, energy. Like how like if you're a carb eater, you have these ups and downs of energy. So you have these moments where you just hit a wall and you're just so tired, and like that happens usually a while after you eat because of the insulin spike, and then it comes down, and so for me with keto, I'm just able to maintain a level of constant energy and feel good and not be inflamed, and just it's just the weirdest little things you'll notice. Like I used to have to clear my throat a whole lot when I was eating carbs, and I looked up that, and that was a symptom of some of the carbs that we eat. So there's just so many different benefits to it, but for me, it's just like I feel my best when I'm in a ketogenic state.
Has that helped you with like fighting sickness? Do you ever get sick anymore?
No, so that's really cool too. That's actually there's research behind that as well. It's like I don't get sick hardly ever anymore. Yeah. And I did used to get sick at least 2-3 times a year, with a cold or something. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the last time I got a cold, to be honest with you. Like I'm just never really feeling sick. So
that's something that I've noticed too, like with personal fitness journey, just constantly like keeping your immune system where it needs to be. It's like you really your body can handle it, because it doesn't have to work on attacking itself. It's like, okay, we're just going to fight off this disease because we're healthy. We don't have we're not doing anything else.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So that's something it's interesting. What kind of like is, I know we talked about your meals, but like I know a lot of people, why do you think if they've started keto that they weren't able to maintain it? Because this is why I thought keto was a fad diet, because it got really popular in, I don't know, maybe like a couple years ago. And then it just kind of went away, and they were like, that's not the best way. So why did you think that people might have tried it and then not been able to sustain it?
Well, because we're carb addicts, and we're literally addicted to sugar. And that's the hardest part, is giving up things that we love. And sugar is honestly the worst thing for you. I mean, it's literally the number one killer when it comes to disease and things like that. And so I think it's just been accepted for so long that people forget how bad it is for you, and so they just kind of like cave to the cravings of wanting those carbs, those unnecessary toxins. And so it's so funny, because like people talk about fruit how it's, antioxidants helps you. It's like, well, if you stop eating toxins, you don't need the antioxidants. But yeah, that's for me. I've experienced it firsthand where I've gone off keto, and I just kind of get wrapped up into eating all these crappy things again. It's like, that's why it just has to be a lifestyle. It has to be something you can sustain. And so if that means having some cheat meals every now and then to keep it sustainable, then do that. If it doesn't affect your health, if it doesn't make you feel terrible, then just do that. But overall, the science proves that it's just the best way for your body to operate. So that's why I feel people usually fail, is to just go back to eating carbs, and it's the addiction.
Yeah, I do too. And I think personally why I'm on low carbs right now, so I can feel it. It's like that keto sickness that you were talking about. Maybe they don't even let themselves get past it to the feel good spot. And I think that if people would just give it a chance and try it for longer, that they might see the results that you have seen.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just try it a little bit longer before you give up.
That is a great point. You actually just put that in front of me, because that's true. It's like, there's so many people who probably go into it and they're like, oh, I feel like crap. I don't know if I can do this. This isn't working for me. It's like, dude, it's been 3 weeks. Your body's been operating off of sugar your whole life. It's not going to just happen overnight sometimes. For some people, it'll happen faster, but for some, it's going to take longer. And so, I think you're 100% right. If you don't stick it out, I think it could be easy to just be like, oh, this sucks, I'm gonna quit.
Yeah, it feels like withdrawing. You're withdrawing from carbs and sugars. Like you feel like you're like, I need it, I need carbs, I need sugar, but you really don't. So that's kind of interesting to think. I do want to talk I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, sorry, I was gonna just one point. Sorry. So there's essential fats and essential proteins. Or is that the right word? But there's no such thing as an essential carb. Your body absolutely does not need carbohydrates to operate. Your body actually is very smart, and it will convert protein over into carbohydrates, I guess, gluconeogenesis. I think I'm saying that right, through that process. And so, you just don't need carbs. Sorry, I just want to emphasize.
Yes, put that in there. But I do want you to get some time to talk about your YouTube channel, which I'm very interested in this. When did you start it? Why did you start it? And how did you get into it?
Okay, so it all kind of happened at the same time. I started researching keto, and I came across some YouTubers. That's how I do my research. YouTube.
Yes, me too.
Right. Yeah. And so I was watching all these videos, and there was this guy who's kind of like my inspiration, man. I really love him. He's his name's Goody Beats on YouTube, and he's just a phenomenal keto person in the keto community. And so I saw his making videos, and he would make videos just if you want to make a YouTube channel, just start today, who cares what people think? And I was like, man, this guy's so right. He was just saying all the right things to me. And I was just getting so passionate about keto because of how I was feeling and how well it was working for me and how many people I knew could help. And so I just decided, you know what, if this guy can do it, I can do it. So I just started the channel. I think it was back in April of 2018 or 2019. I think it was 18. Yeah. And so it's been a couple of years now that I've had the channel, but that was just, for me, it was just trying to get the message out of, I want as many people to know about keto as I do, because I felt so good and I wanted other people to feel good, because I knew there were other people out there probably struggling and feeling badly. And so I just want to kind of spread the word. And my goal is to grow this channel, and hopefully get sponsored by a company that I really believe in, not just any company, but a company that's good for the keto community, and, hopefully make it into basically a full-time job where I'm doing YouTube for a job, making money off it and getting endorsements and all that kind of stuff. So that's the goal.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat, because I just was I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to edit videos. I'm just need to start, because someone on a video that I had watched said, my crappy 15-minute video is better than your 0-minute none video or something, or it's already getting more views than your video you didn't post, Right. So that one really spoke to me, and just I think that's for all people trying to start a fitness journey. It's like, we don't know what we're doing, but you got to start. You got to start somewhere. You can do all the research on your own. There's plenty of people out there that are willing to help you. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to just wake up shredded in a week. You have to commit. You have to, I think that's what people think of diet and exercise. They're like, I'm going to be 10 pounds in the next week or 10 pounds in 2 weeks. It's like, maybe you
and that
can.
comes down to all the marketing though, all the marketing back behind it, like 6-day abs and 30-day beach body. It's like, no, man, it doesn't work like that.
Wow.
It just takes consistency. That's it. At the end of the day, it's just consistency.
It is. So I'm glad that you've found that in your fitness journey, and that it sounds like you're on the path to spreading keto to the masses. Who is your role model?
I'm getting there. I was actually pretty excited.
Who do you have as an inspiration? Who's your inspiration or role model?
I think that for me, inspiring people inspires me. And so the people who are unhealthy inspire me because I want to help them. And I want them to know it's like, look, I'm not some dude who was fit his whole life. I've walked in your shoes. I know your struggles. I was big. I wish I had a picture. I should have had a picture prepared, but I was a big boy, man. And so being able to take that message and share it and, help people is my inspiration and motivation as well.
Do you have a certain person that you idolize or you look up to?
Well, I think Goody Beats would probably be my idol as far as keto and stuff go. Fitness.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then so I think this is one of my favorite questions to ask. So if you were able to time travel and go back into time and tell yourself some advice before you were starting your fitness journey, what would you be telling yourself?
Oh man, I would tell myself to stop being such a fat ass. Sorry.
That's okay.
I would just try to teach him dude, these calories have repercussions, man.
Yeah.
It's I was just eating out of control. It's a full-blown food addiction. I still have it. I still struggle with it. There's days where I just want to eat and I don't know how to shut it off sometimes. And so it's just a lifelong struggle, but as you progress in your fitness journey or your nutrition knowledge, it gets easier to deal with. So I honestly would just probably try to teach myself about the harmfulness of what I was doing as far as eating so much so often.
I like that a lot. I think you spoke about having a plateau period. Maybe that was from yo-yo dieting, because was that after the initial 70 pounds you said, 80 pounds?
Yeah, I got to about an 80-pound loss with just macros, if it fits your macros. And then I just kind of hit a wall where I wasn't able to lose anymore.
Yeah.
So I just started, that's when I looked up fitness and started getting in the gym. I hired a personal trainer, actually.
It was all diet based for the 70 to 80 pounds before even stepping foot in a gym.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And that's the thing about weight loss is 90% nutrition. And I always tell people this, clients and on my YouTube, I always say that working out should never be a weight loss thing. It's for health and longevity and to look good. Obviously we go to the gym and we like the results we get, so all those reasons are great reasons to work out. But if you try to overtrain and then eat less, you're just not going to be able to succeed. It's just not possible. Your body's smart, realizes it, lowers your metabolic rate, and then you're in trouble, so dang it, I think I forgot the question.
Oh, it's okay. It's all right.
Lost my track, sorry.
So when you were hitting the plateau with just diet, what changed? So how much were you able to even more lose once you were doing diet plus exercise?
Okay, yeah. So, and I think that's also just a shock to the body. It's kind of like you're throwing something new in there, which can be really good. But I've lost over the years, I've lost over 150 pounds, around 150 pounds. And so about 70 more pounds after that.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, I was a big boy, man.
That's a lot of, You have to shop a lot. Did you have
Yeah.
to,
Oh,
I
man.
mean,
I've probably gone through 4 different belts, as
yeah.
far as the size of them, which was awesome. I still have one pair of shorts that I used to wear, and every now and then I'll take a picture with them, try to inspire people. But,
Yeah.
I was like a size 56 or something stupid, man. It was crazy. And
Well,
6X large, like 6X shirts sometimes. So,
wow.
yeah.
And I bet you just feel amazing right now.
I do.
So, yeah.
I do.
So that's awesome.
My self-esteem is so much better now. Like everything's a lot better. So.
And I have a few more fun questions to just kind of wrap everything up. So if your life was written as a book, what would be your title and why?
Oh man.
I know it's hard. You can think about it, but just what comes to mind?
Probably the struggles of obesity, something along those lines.
Okay, and why? How come you would title it that?
Just because I've overcome obesity and I've had to deal with it and been able to help a lot of other people overcome it, and so I think it kind of just defines me at this point. It's weird to say that, but it's just such a huge part of my life, and I never try to forget it because it keeps me motivated. I remember where I was and where I am now, and I'm very proud of where I'm at now.
You should be. It's a huge accomplishment, so that's amazing. I do have to ask you this question. So it's my podcast is called Cupcakes and Protein Shakes, obviously. So what is your favorite cupcake flavor, or like a sugary treat, dessert, or something like that?
Red velvet, cream cheese icing. Oh, I'll smash a whole box of those.
Okay. So that is perfect. What about like protein shakes too? Do you do protein shakes, or is that not?
Yeah, so I used to do protein. I don't necessarily need it. I think if it helps some people, then go ahead. For the ketosis part of things, sometimes that pure protein can actually trigger the gluconeogenesis and kick you out of ketosis, and so sometimes it's frowned upon in the keto community to use protein shakes, and if you do, you should probably add some fat to it. But for me, I don't drink them. I don't need it. I just train.
Okay, it's because it's interesting hearing your story of how you diet, because how I have diet and how bodybuilders diet is completely polar opposite.
Right.
We are carb fuels.
But be on the lookout, because there are many, there's a lot of up and coming keto bodybuilders out there now who are coming around and showing great success. So
because there's some vegan bodybuilders I've heard of. It's very rare. There's some ketos, but for the majority of us, we're at least have some type of carbs. It might not be high, but we all have some type of carbs, and we overtrain and we undereat, and that's kind of like what is known for bodybuilding in our community.
Because you do like a pre-show carb up, right? To get the pump and the vascular stuff.
So I'm on 45 grams of carbs, and then the week before you'd be on 300, 400
You're
carbs.
45 grams a day?
Yeah,
so you're totally in ketosis.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's not fun for me. But and it's just from leafy green vegetables, and then you get for potatoes and rice cakes, and go 300, 200, 400 grams of carbs every day, and just kind of fuel up on carbs and protein, pretty much going into the show.
Replacing that glycogen. So I've seen that you can manipulate that with a sodium increase. Amongst the keto community, they usually if they're keto, obviously they're not going to eat carbs before the show, so they actually use sodium to try to manipulate that same effect.
That's interesting too, because I don't know if I think we'll cut sodium and change. We will put carbs in replace of sodium our week before, or something like that. So that it's very different to hear your side. It kind of makes me interested to think maybe if I push through my low carb for a few more weeks, I'll actually like it. So it's something that I am probably willing to experiment with in my own personal fitness journey, at least to try it and say, if I like it, I like it. If not, if not.
You know what? You could do a series for YouTube. You
Yeah.
know, like start your keto series. That would be really cool.
Yeah. So that's something
I'll train you for free. Or I'll coach you.
Oh no, my coach would not be happy with you, but I'm glad that you brought some, like, it's interesting because I know like my listeners they're all sorts of people, but they're mostly like bodybuilding focused. So I think it's going to definitely add value to some of our listeners that maybe have wanted to try it or have tried it, but just weren't able to overcome that like keto flu, or just didn't think it worked and then quit before they even saw results. So I really hope that if you're out there listening to this, that you're willing to maybe give keto a try, at least, try it for a few months. If it works for you, it works for you. You can always add carbs in, but I think it's definitely a value just to see how your body can perform with a different source of fuel. So I
think when you're a hard trainer, when you're training super hard, there's nothing wrong with having a clean carb up, but in the form of like clean carbs, like sweet potatoes, not necessarily going and killing a box of Little Debbie's. And so I think that just want to talk about that for a second, because there are some people who are bodybuilding or who train super hard, who might need a refuel, a carb refuel.
And then, so when you did If It Fits Your Macros, did you have to teach yourself that?
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was. I was just basically just counting calories on my fitness app, and that's just kind of keeping what I was eating under control is basically If It Fits Your Macros. So
and then
I didn't really know I was doing it at the time.
Do you track your weight, or do you track like measurements or anything like that, or just do like based on progress pictures?
Yeah, I don't do that right now because I don't have any specific goals. But if I do have goals, or if I have clients always use measurements, clothing, pictures, because I always tell them, get on the scale and then put the scale in jail, because the scale will defeat you, man. There's days where like I wake up feeling slim or feeling good, and I get on the scale, I'm like, what the hell? Like I'm weighing heavy today, and just that scale day to day doesn't matter, it just really doesn't. And so I'll have clients weigh in one time, and then we won't get on the scale again for about 4 weeks, because I want to see progress in other ways. I want to see pictures, measurements, mirror how you feel, all those kinds of things.
That's a very interesting, because I think I feel that I am live or die by the scale. It's like, if I don't see progress every week, what am I doing? It's like I felt like the whole week was a waste if my scale's not going down, and it's so unmotivating and not just myself, but some people when they are just tracking progress based on the scale. Like, it's not the best answer.
It's so unhealthy, man.
Yeah.
It's so unhealthy. And the thing is, and you can look this up on before and after pictures online. It's like you can weigh 210 pounds and be super lean and shredded. And then you can weigh 210 pounds and look fat and lumpy, So it's like muscle's more dense, obviously. And so that scale really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, especially if you're a strength trainer, if you're somebody who's building muscle significantly, that scale doesn't mean anything. You have to really look at measurements and clothing and how you feel. Put the scale in jail, man.
Put the scale in jail. I love that. I'm going to use, I might use that in the title or some other quote from this.
I'm gonna get it patented.
Yes, you should patent that. Put the scale in jail. It's live keto. I love that. So we are kind of getting towards the ends of where we're going to wrap up the podcast. I do want to kind of leave the end for you just to say anything that was missed, or if you have any pieces of advice for our listeners that you would like them to know about.
Yeah. So just don't give up at the first hurdle. It's like I've been through so many times with clients or myself even where I slip up and I feel like I have to quit after that, or people do, they just have one mess up and they're like, oh, now I'm screwed now. I got to just go back to doing what I was doing before. It's like, it's not like that way. Accept what you've done. Okay. If you cheated or if you missed a workout, whatever, accept it, move forward, but be consistent, because that's what it takes. You have to be consistent every day, day in, day out. So that's my biggest piece of advice.
Okay. All right. Are you good wrapping it up? Is there anything that I didn't ask that you wanted to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered it all.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. I love that we were able to talk about so many different little caveats here and there as far as mindset, motivations, sales, success, the science, and everything in between. One more time so our listeners know where to find you on socials.
Yes. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube is all the same. It's I.F.yourketo.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to wrap up the podcast here. If you are listening, thank you guys so much. We will be doing every Wednesday. Cupcakes and Protein Shakes does drop. You can find it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure you give it a 5-star review. If you love it, share it, screenshot it. If it changed your life, please tag us as well. I will leave all of our social handles in the description in case you want to find out more about keto. I will have all of those in the description box. Thank you guys for listening. I will see you next week.